Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and I am here with my beautiful co-host, Jennifer Jurkofsky from My Holistic Self.
Hello.
And we have an awesome special guest for you today, Patricia Wagner. Welcome, Patricia. It's great to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
So how are you both doing? How are we doing? We're doing a little check-in. How's everyone doing? Oh, okay.
You want me to go first?
Sure, please.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm doing really well.
Awesome.
You know, in spite of everything that's going on in our world, I've got a spiritual community that just really is so supportive, and also the spiritual practices and things that we immerse ourselves in. It is phenomenal how that keeps one centered, and so it's been very beneficial. Yeah.
Beautiful. And we'll hear about what you do in a few minutes, and then you can share that with the audience. Jen, how was your week?
Good. It's been, we do our check-ins with our classes and stuff, and there are times where it's like, what actually happened? I'm trying to remember the whole week. There's been so much that I'm in that space of good. Wait a minute. No, it's been good. I just had to do that. Check.
Yes. We're having some technical issues, I hear, as well on our thing. So please be patient with us as we work through those. I'm not sure if it's happening now, but it was happening before. So just our apologies if there's any glitching going on. I just had a tab on my other screen there crash, so I'm just a little concerned that might happen. So just as a heads up for everyone, but welcome. And I am going to just say hello to our viewers as they're coming on. Welcome, Kaylee. Welcome.
Hello.
Beautiful. Perfect timing if it's 11:11. That's awesome. We have a few more of you on here too. Don't be afraid to say hello. And let's get into the space weather because it's interesting this week. So we have here, you can see yesterday we had this X6, and I believe we had, is it X6? I thought it was an X9. No, it was an X6, I guess. All right, well, either way. Let's take a look at it this way. See if that gives us anything. It was after that. Yep. There, see? X8 right there. 8.3 it says. Unless it's my eyes. Maybe it's my eyes. Nope, 6. Either way. It's all good. This is me. So yeah, it's X6, and that was yesterday. So that, of course, bumps up against our atmosphere. We would have gotten it today. So if you were feeling a little bit off or tired or all of those fun things, it may have been because of some of our storms. We have had a couple of X's and some M's, which it's been much quieter in the last couple of weeks with just the odd thing, but we did have quite a blurb there for a little bit. So that's quite a bit. Our KP index, though, is much lower, looks more stable. So that's, of course, related to our aurora borealis, so it's not as active. It was being very active south, and it's not that as much. And we have our ads as usual. You can see here we've got our this was our big X6 or 8, whichever it is. And then we've got the static today as it comes in as well. So this is some of that activity that's happening. The Schumann today isn't too bad. We did have it higher yesterday. And that is our weather.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. So hang on to your hats, folks. We got lots going on. Jen, what's happening with those neutrinos?
All right, so we are at the very end of the 19, which we talked about last time. So I'm not going to dive into that because tonight we're actually transitioning into the gate 13. And the gate 13 is the gate of the fellowship of man, the gate of the listener. And so this energy moves us from the shadow of discord to the siddhi, or the enlightened state of empathy, through the gift of discernment. And so what we find with this is that we're being called to look at what we're listening to, right? To know that this is a journey from carrying stories and holding truth. And so as we move through this energy, we really want to look at what is it that I am listening to? What is the collective frequency that governs our relationships with memory and narratives and the power of listening? And so as we're moving through this energy, the transit asks us to really look at where we listen without boundaries and how we carry stories that are not ours, so we can recognize the emotional weight that maybe we've absorbed on a very unconscious and maybe conscious level, so that we can decide, okay, where do I maybe confuse empathy with obligation, and how do I honor the past or the story without becoming trapped in it? So as this energy moves us forward, we're going to be navigating the shadow of discord. And the shadow of discord shows up as emotional overwhelm, conflicting loyalties. We might have difficulty trusting our own truth or absorbing somebody else's emotions or pain. So if you're in a place where you're experiencing that, remember that these shadows, and this is across the board, every shadow for every transit that we talk about, our shadow is not weakness. It is here to open us so that we're not in that containment or in that density of the emotion, of whatever that shadow is. And so what we want to do is we want to move through that shadow and recognize when it comes up for us. When maybe we go, I don't know what story is true, or I'm not sure what I'm supposed to think or believe or understand or hold, and move into that gift of discernment. And that's the wisdom through selective listening. So here we're able to kind of take that step back and have discernment around what is important for me to listen to, what is not important for me to listen to. What is it that is going to honor my emotional boundaries? It's going to allow me to maybe hear things without taking it on. Because I don't know about you, but I know, with experiences of, especially when it's people that we love or that we're close to, there's this feeling of, oh my goodness, let me help you. Let me take this on. Let me carry this with you. And that is not our role to do, even though, as empaths, we go, I'm right here with you. Come on in. But we have to recognize the patterns and respect that there can be truth here, but we don't have to attach to it. We don't have to attach to the stories, and we can have emotional clarity even in the midst of. And this is about narrative coherence, right? So we talk about what is it to be in coherence or out of it, when we're able to find those places that resonate versus the dissonance that can happen in our systems when something doesn't quite mesh. And so, as we move through this, we can really get into that siddhi, that enlightened state, which is the empathy. This is where we can listen and be totally present with something, but the story itself can dissolve, and we don't have to change it or do anything about it, because that compassion can flow effortlessly without us having to actually pick anything up. Okay, so some prompts for this week as we move through the energy. What stories am I carrying that are not mine to hold? Where am I listening without discernment? I think that's a big one. How do I honor the past without being shaped by it? And I think this is a question that we all ask ourselves in this journey: is how do I do that? How do I navigate that? And the affirmation, which I'll put in the chat for this, is: I listen with clarity and compassion. I honor the stories entrusted to me without losing myself. Through presence, empathy naturally arises.
And you can add support, not safe, because that's a big one to that.
That right there, support, not safe.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So that's our transit.
Support, not safe. How many times do we fall into that? And that's about getting caught up in the story. And I know when I started my practice, like a decade ago, it was like you get caught up in their story, you get caught up in like what the outcome of the treatment is and all of that, or the session. And really it's I'm there to give support. They're the ones doing their own work, right? So yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I want to hear about our guest.
Yes. Patricia, tell us about yourself.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you to both of you for asking me to be on your show. I am delighted. And I also, I met you both, lovely women, spiritual soul sisters, through Michael David and Beyond Being Human. And I spoke to Michael recently, and he said, be sure and tell both of these beautiful friends that I send you both my love. So that's a message from Michael David.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Beyond Being Human. Yeah. And, so let's see.
How did you get started in all of this? I always joke that Reiki was my gateway drug. So what was your gateway drug?
Gateway drug.
Your origin story.
Well, it definitely had energy healing was the thing I did for 16 years, but that came after a lot of different nudges, prompts, and experiences. So even as a little girl, I used to have out-of-body experiences when I slept. And I was like younger than 5 years old. And so the reason I know I had them is because I found out later, what they were really all about. But I remember as a little girl, sometimes I would be at the top of the ceiling in our bedroom. My sister was in one twin bed, and I was perpendicular to her in my twin bed. And I could see our bodies in our beds. And then sometimes I'd be up above the roof of our home, and I could see the roof of our home. I could see the other homes around us. But sometimes I'd go so far out. It was like the most freeing experience I had ever experienced. And when I went out that far, when I came back into my body, I would come in at such a velocity that the whole bed and would just like go down, and it would wake me up. This little girl, I'd wake up. And then, I'd look around, it's pitch black in my bedroom, and then I'd just go back to sleep. I didn't think anything of it. In fact, I thought everybody did this when they slept at night. Until my sister and I, this was in 1955. So I was born in 1950. So I was 5 years old. She was 2 years older than I was. So I thought she was, totally wise, my older sister. And we were watching the first television broadcast of Peter Pan with Mary Martin. You ladies are much too young to have even remembered this, but I was glued to that TV because I saw these people flying in the daytime, not just at night. And so after the TV broadcast of Peter Pan was over, I turned to my sister and said, Well, when we go flying at night, and she said, "What are you talking about? You can't do that. No one can." And that shut it down for me
Aw.
until in my 30s. And I had found metaphysics and kind of esoteric teachings and whatnot from a meditation practice that I began in 1977. And so um, I read in these books on metaphysics and these teachings that that was totally possible. And I recognized it right away. It was like, that was like a glue. It's like, I know this is true. This is so true because I experienced it as a little girl. So in my 30s, I would prepare my mind for an hour before sleep to allow out of body experiences to occur. And so I did that twice in my 30s. And I had out of body experiences again as an adult. But it would took so much preparation before bedtime that I only did it twice. And I thought, well, that's proof enough that it wasn't a figment of a child's imagination. It's true. So that was kind of, that just like added to the confirmation. So I've been on that kind of path ever since starting meditating and then diving into these kind of books. And then I got on a real spiritual curriculum, but was a guided curriculum when I began on that track through Unity. Unity was the church, the New Thought church that I got through their program, a 17-year journey to become a licensed Unity teacher. And then a few years after that, I became a Divine Science New Thought minister. So. But in the meantime, energy healing was my thing, just like you. Mm-hmm. But and actually, it was Reiki I learned first. And it was so powerful. I was a little frightened of it. And then when a few years later, I learned a modality called quantum touch. That I knew I could teach others. I could share that with others because Reiki to me was sort of like I knew I couldn't. It kind of conveyed to me, and maybe this was the teacher I had, but that you had to be kind of a special spiritual person. And I knew I didn't want to send that message, and I didn't. And I knew I wasn't a special person, like that. So, but quantum touch, it just like from the beginning, it says that, the healing takes place within the person. The person themselves is the healer, not the practitioner. And so I knew I could teach that. So I did for 16 years. Mm-hmm. And my spiritual education, the meditations, spiritual education, and then my whole experience of teaching and also providing literally thousands of energy treatments for people, that combination plus 3 divine downloads that I got because of meditation and the messages that they brought just were profound. And it brought me to something that I put together recently, a simple practice for everybody, if they so choose. And it's not the be all end all, it's just a practice. And I called it the Divine Two-Step. And it captures the essence of those 3 divine downloads, those 3 revelations from Spirit that are meant to assist humanity in awakening. And the essence of them is brought down into this. Number 1, aligning our minds with the divine all the time, while 2, anchoring to the feeling of gratitude in our hearts all day, every day. And either one of those steps in that Divine Two-Step is transformational. Mm-hmm. And so my suggestion is just like to start with the one that resonates with the person most. And then do that until it becomes your normal state of being. Whether it's anchoring to the feeling of gratitude in your heart, where that becomes your normal state, where you're just anchored. You live from your heart. You just, I have done that. And it's like the changes I saw in my life by doing that practice were just amazing. My heart softened. It opened. I became like more loving, more expressive, more wanting to give and to share, and more generous than ever. I mean, it was transformational. So it opens us to love. It opens us to definitely peace. It opens us to be a receptacle to receive the goodness that we is ours to receive if only we have the capacity to receive it. You know, the kingdom of heaven is within us. So we just have to be an open receptacle large enough to receive it. So one, that one is just like so powerful. And that first one that I talked about, aligning the mind with the divine, well, my mind was the one that was like, it could get so distracted and go here and there and be worried or anxious or whatever. So Spirit gave me that as a little game. And I named it Looking for Light. There's a website, lookingforlight.net, that anybody can access.
Below in the description, you guys.
So I don't know if I should keep talking, or do you want to ask questions? Or
I love the Divine Two-Step. And I know, I've heard you talk about it now, a few times with Beyond Being Human and on different shows and all there. And this idea of like the mind and the heart, and really having that connected energy of the mind being aligned with the divine and the heart really having that gratitude piece. And you were saying pick the one that resonates for you, but I don't know that if we're really honoring that, we could have one without the other, right? It's so really recognizing how
trick, Jen.
Whichever way, well, that's it, right? Whichever way it feels aligned or resonates, you inevitably, because it is that two-step, like they go together, and you're not going to be able to really sit in one without the other. But I know, when we're talking to people, a lot of the time, it's like, okay, I can focus and have that in my heart. But as you were saying, the mind is so hard sometimes for us to control. We have our patterns, we have our conditioning, we have all of that kind of stuff that comes up. And I talk so often with clients about, we have to get to a place where we're like, okay, mind, enough of that. That's not what we're thinking about right now. Right? And so this aligning the mind with the divine gives us a way to redirect the mind from all of its workings.
Yeah, Jen, you're so right. Because like either one of them is going to influence the other. So if we're aligning our minds with the divine, we're going to feel that gratitude, that joy, that peace within our hearts. But if we start with the anchoring to the feeling of gratitude to our hearts, it's going to totally influence where we focus our minds. However, I have found in my own personal that I can get distracted out of that. And when I go back in my head, I'm out of my heart. And so the combination of the two really builds coherence. If we do it, together, and if it's self-empowering, it's prove it to yourself system, and it raises our vibrational frequency, it raises our consciousness, and effortlessly, it's also an huge influence on raising the global field as well. So I like it. It's and it's all about really, I think, training ourselves to be present and experience the oneness, experience that divine nature who we are. And it's that experience that we're after, whether it's the divine two-step or energy healing or whatever modality or practice that someone has. It's really about just the experience. And the Divine Two-Step is one of those simple practices that can help get us there into that oneness experience, that divine connection.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to focus our energy on those things. And really, it shifts everything. The gratitude shifts everything, because our brain will try and make sense, like Jen said, right? And it's very linear. And it tells stories. they're not accurate. So it's good to move out of that and into that presence where we can really feel the coherence. And the coherence, of course, is that's that's the science part, guys, because they can measure coherence, which is awesome. I think there's a lot of stuff in spirituality where we can't measure, we can't necessarily understand everything because our brains are linear, right? And it's not linear concepts. So when we start moving into stuff where we can say, okay, we've got this coherence happening, and we can prove this, then it's not as much of a stretch, for us to jump into some of these other concepts that are higher vibrational or that are more not as linear in concept, right? They're like, so I think that it's valuable that is part of the understanding in your framework, especially for people that are not there yet, right? The ones that are just starting to come online now in the collective, they need that sort of science thing to be like, okay, so there is some science here. Yes, there's science here. It is who you are anyway, whether you have the science for it or not. However, there is some science here to bring that forward. So
I love HeartMath. HeartMath Institute has done so much to
Yes.
bring awareness to humanity about the scientific, just like what you said, Tanis. We need that science validation because that's kind of become our quote unquote authority, the highest authority, when in fact it's not, but
it's not.
society has deemed it as such. So there's is it all right for me to talk about the Christ chalice? Is it all right?
Yeah.
Whatever you like. Yeah, for sure.
So that was a divine download that came in 2015. So that was the third. And the first one that came in 1999 was about gratitude, and that our purpose in life is oneness, and that we can use gratitude. We have a choice of using gratitude to awaken, or the challenges of life will do it for us. With lessons, but that ultimately, no matter which path we choose, that our destination is heaven on earth. And I truly believe that is the divine plan that we create. But we are totally part of this creation. We are so part of this co-creation. And what that third divine download, which I call the Christ chalice, reveals, actually it gives the understanding of why we are so important in the co-creation of what appears on earth. And it's entirely our choice. It's entirely our choice. Because that Christ chalice, what it was a conceptualization of the three phases of the human mind: the superconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious, and how it relates to the capacity to live stream divine ideas, inspirations, knowings, revelations directly from infinite intelligence, all that is, whatever name anybody wants to give, divine mind, God, all of it. It's the omniscience of us, that we have that superconscious capacity. The superconscious is still, it's non-thinking, and yet it remains open and receptive and in resonance with divine mind, like we do in meditation. That's stillness. But if we can learn to just, with presence, keep it open like that, it will feed those divine ideas, embedding it into our subconscious, which is this kind of playback system. It plays it back, whatever it believes, it plays back to the conscious phase of mind, which then its purpose is to bring it out into the relative world, both the world of form and the world of consciousness, that relative world that we live in. What we've seen is that people are living mainly by their five senses, and knowing that they have a subconscious and a conscious, and science has proven the subconscious and the conscious. And so they think that, they look out using their senses and they see duality, separation, they name it, good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark, all that. And so they see it with their conscious mind. That feeds it, embeds it in the subconscious, that then plays it back to the conscious. They go out and see it again with their senses, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's really, opposites, all of that. It just is the continual feedback loop, creating greater and greater polarity in the world. That's what we've been seeing going on. So when science proves that we have a superconscious, which many mystics have already confirmed this, it's just science that's running behind. They need to confirm the superconscious, that when activated, it is when we become a live stream for those divine ideas and inspirations constantly, because we are in a state, we become a state of Christ consciousness, God consciousness, enlightenment, Buddha mind, whatever name a person wants to call it. But we become that presence that is bringing total, it can only bring light into the world. And it maintains and sustains that high vibrational frequency, that higher consciousness, so that that's what we're emanating all the time, lifting others, lifting the planet, lifting our world into heaven on earth.
I know that super conscious is the one that I believe Dr. Michael Newton took people to for his, what is it, Life Beyond Lives, Soul's Journey, Life Beyond Lives, in his book. And he took people to that when he was asking them questions about their past lives. Or what it's like when they leave a body and go into the other one. And it was the superconscious mind that he was looking at it with. So it's a fascinating study on that. Have you seen that one?
No, I have not heard his name either.
Yeah,
I know.
I'll put it in the chat, and
okay.
And so other people have option there.
Yeah, it's and as you said, Patricia, this idea, this concept is not new. I mean, throughout all of the mystical teachings, and even through so many like quantum awareness and shifting in quantum reality teachings, like they talk about the superconscious and how it impacts how we are now, so much so that we have the ability to actually impact our physicality through our superconscious. And so it's, a beautiful place for really deep healing work, being in that connected place of the superconscious, because it can alter so much about how we're experiencing our day to day.
You're absolutely right, Jen. And what you reminded me of is when I did my energy healing. It was the same. I didn't have the words. I didn't even have this download then. But I had spiritual study in knowing that we can make that. And I had decades by that time of meditation. And so I knew I could make that divine connection. So I used the modality of quantum touch, but I combined it with that state of divine connection that we get in meditation, where knowing that there is it's perfection within every human being, that is our divine nature of perfection. So no matter what the client had told me or what I saw with my own eyes, if they had some infirmity or something, I didn't buy it. I might have written it down on their chart, only because I wanted them to know that I was paying attention to what they were saying. But in my mind and during their treatments, that did not exist. Only their divine perfection existed. And I can tell you how it was so effective when we can maintain that state. And then, of course, doing the modality is raising the vibrational frequency anyway, but then coupled with holding only that perfection in mind of who they are, what they are, their health, their well-being, their perfect creation, is why the results were so powerful.
Yeah.
And everybody can do this. Everybody can do this.
Absolutely. Well, and it's interesting because there's so many different practices out there now, like the MAP method or the QHHT or things like that all work with the superconscious,
Yeah.
right? And so even though we look at it in different ways or energies, and even Reiki and energy work, which I'm going to just, for all practitioners out there, I'm sorry that was your experience around Reiki and connecting to it. It's universal life force energy. We all have it. We are all connected to it. We don't have to be any certain way in order to be able to access it. It's part of who we are. We live with that energy. But all of that recognizes that it is that higher self that brings that energy into us and brings us into alignment. And through that alignment, that's how the healing comes out. So we aren't doing anything, right? So very much to the quantum touch, to all of that, it's I'm a conduit for this energy because I'm just allowing it to flow. I'm allowing it to come through me. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing for anybody with this, that when we tap into that superconscious mind, even all of that comes through to us, it's through that higher self. It's all that we actually are. But also, we don't have to do anything to deserve it or to be worthy of it or anything else. It's just there and we have access to it, right? We just have to say, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a big hello to Jonathan, and he says his writings are channeled by the superconscious or the higher self. Even his art. He's a talented spirit artist. Yeah. I think a lot of our creativity comes from that area.
Directly.
We end up, there's some beautiful stuff that comes out when we start tapping into that part of us.
And music. Oh my gosh.
Definitely.
So many different facets. We are creative beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We are expressions of the divine here on earth when we allow it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, like you were saying, Janet, that we are channels, but we also, when we create that field, it's a field that we create, a personal field that even not doing a session for someone, if we are able to consistently create that field, it affects everyone. You don't have to have a particular session going on. It just affects whatever's around us, whoever's around us, and it goes even farther because, of course, energy is unbounded. So we are powerful beings if we only recognize it. Yeah,
and that's the piece. It's the recognizing it part. And I think practices like what you're sharing, Patricia, are so powerful because it helps us to step into that. It helps us to recognize it, right? I say we just have to say yes, but then we go, okay, how in the world do I say yes, right? And what you're sharing with us is a beautiful way to say yes, right? To allow ourselves to intentionally put that into practice so that we can create the field.
So right, that's the key, is putting it into practice. I speak from personal experience, putting it into practice. My goodness, that first revelation that came, I called it Two Doors Vision. That was the one with gratitude, and when I didn't even get it fully until 19 years later. So I mean, when we're ready, So it is a process for sure. But I think part of it, and I was doing that course all along too, is the deconditioning, of all the false beliefs, and all of that just, it's not that we have to get anything, it's that we have to get rid of a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. It's true. It's the programming.
Life's way. And then learn who we truly are. All right.
I think the dogs have something to say about that.
They do.
But they're scratching at the door. But yeah, you were talking earlier about the senses and how the senses dictate, and we get stuck in all of this duality because this is everything that our senses are trapped in, without realizing that it's not yes or no, good or bad. There's this beautiful spectrum of experience. and we're within all of it. And it's one spectrum of experiences that doesn't have to have all of these labels and things to it. But because from the moment we're, I'm going to say in the womb, not even born yet, we start getting all of this conditioning happening that completely changes that higher self understanding of what that oneness actually is. Because, you know, when we come here to have this human experience, and I love that idea of I'm not here to transcend it, I'm here to bring that divine into it, because it allows for us to go, yeah, just because my mind thinks this thing, or just because I'm having this experience in this way or filtering it in this way, doesn't mean that that's the absolute truth of it. Right? What else is possible here? And it's such a beautiful shift in the unlearning to not just go, well, I guess that's how it is.
Yeah, I like to say there's no ceiling on consciousness, and there isn't. I will always be a student, and I will always be learning, and I will always be just being open to seeing greater and greater. And I think that's why, like Michael's Beyond Being Human, I said there's such a diversity of people coming in and sharing what they feel is the highest and the best, and it probably is for them and for others, you know, because I think people are going to respond to each of you, or to me, or to them, or, you know, just whatever resonates. But we're all headed in the same direction. That's the beauty of it. Remember the two doors vision, that ultimately our destination is heaven on earth.
Yeah. And those solar flares that we're having, that's supposed to help us. That's increasing the vibration of the earth, increasing the Schumann resonance, right? Which is helping to raise us up.
And haven't you seen, Tanis? I mean, I've seen it, Jen too. Everywhere I see us awakening as a planet.
Yeah.
I see so much good going on, and people taking powerful places in the world to bring the quote unquote good news of how, and just to everyone, you know, there's no demarcations, it's just brought out in this global fashion that helps everyone. I love it. I think that we are just in the most treasured time on this planet. Absolutely. And we all signed up for it anyway, so I'm glad we're here. Yeah.
It is. It's a beautiful time of transition.
Yeah.
You know? And and we can't change things if we don't bring them forward, right? And that's part of what's happening now, is everything is coming to the surface so that we can put some light on it, put some love into it, and change the things that are maybe not favorable.
What's helped me so much is when I really started seeing how everything was for me. It really is for me, even if it came in the way of a challenge. And that happened many, many, many years ago. But that was a true pivotal point too. Yes. It took totally erased victimhood. It totally erased that. It totally erased the dramas and stuff. It's like, then we can start learning, okay, what's the gift in this? I want to see it, what's this? Because I know it's for me. So I want to see, what am I here to learn from this experience? That's a real good way of seeing things. Yeah.
It's a blessing or a lesson, right?
Yeah.
A blessing or a lesson.
A blessing or a lesson. I like that. Yeah. My son told me recently, and I was so young when I had all my children. I had all three before I was 21 years old. I didn't know what I know now at all. I mean, at all. I had to learn, much later, after they were really kind of on their way into teens and stuff. And even then I didn't know enough and feel confident enough to share it with them. So they grew up without any of these teachings, even though, I'm totally 100% in it now, but but they still know mom is mom. And so just recently when we got together, they came to celebrate my birthday. And I said something that it would be normal for me to share with my husband or share with you all or share with anyone in our kind of groups. And my youngest son said, Mom, just know, we just want you as mom. We don't want to be part of your congregation, your group, whatever, your ministry. And we don't want that. We just want you as mom. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm just mom with them, and that's okay. Spirit's got every one of us.
Yeah, I'll go on with my son. He's 27 now, but I'll say something to him about energy or yeah, the energies are a little off today or whatever, and he'll be like, "Not everything's energy," and I'm like, "You want to debate that, honey?"
Let's see, Einstein, Tesla.
But that's
There's
his
a
form
lot
of saying.
Scientists out there who go, everything is energy.
That's his way, though, of saying, I just want you, Mom. Just, just talk to me. It's the same thing. That's just his
Same thing. Yeah.
It's so fascinating, this idea, though, too, of how we have our ideas of who somebody is or who we want somebody to be, and how interesting that impacts our experiences, right? The moment that we kind of go, well, I want you to be this way. It's like, well, we understand. And for some, our kids and things like that, it's like, yeah, okay. But also recognizing that in this kind of co-creation, we are going to be exactly as, if we're in that alignment piece, we're going to be as our higher self is wanting us to be, and that's not always going to be in alignment. And I think that's some of the beautiful things that are actually shifting right now for the world, is being able to step into, yeah, okay, but I can, again, for kids and stuff like that, and our partners, but as we step more into that, we are going to change. We are going to be different in many ways, and that also can be really a challenging part of the journey, when all of a sudden we're showing up differently and somebody goes, but Mom.
Yeah. And that's, of course, a lesson as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
grounding, and sometimes we have friends that can't accept the changes, right? And so we need to let them go. Usually they just fade. It's not like something that you have to be all dramatic about or anything. But there's times when we move on from friendships along the way, because not all friends are meant to be a lifetime. And that's also a thing for us, of a lesson in letting go and letting them make their own decisions, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about what you said, Jen, at the beginning about some of the transits. It's about discernment. And so it was just a reminder when my son said that discerning what audience. But I hang with you all and others that are totally in line with, that would never have offended or been, anything that would have been a pushback at all, because it would have been a natural part of the conversation. I hang so much with that I'm not used to kind of being careful what I say.
It's true.
But anyway, discernment. That was, discernment.
Absolutely.
So perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever perspective they're holding is theirs, and that's okay. That's where
and I want them to know I'm not trying to fix anyone.
Yeah,
I share because I know how meaningful my spiritual growth has taken me from a person that I don't even recognize anymore to where I am now. And it has brought such happiness, contentment, fulfillment, love, joy, peace, all of the all of the yummy qualities that
Yeah.
I think everyone, anyone would want. And that why wouldn't I want to spread, as much good stuff that benefited me with everyone? Don't you?
Yeah.
You all feel like that, right? That's what you're doing this show,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And our practices. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of that wounded healer thing, right? We heal our own wounds as we heal others. We never finished our own healing. So we're like, okay, well, this worked for this sort of thing. So why don't I use that as a tool? And this is just an option. And here's another option. And here's another option. Try and see what works for you. I think that's kind of the role we play
Yeah.
as healers and
But I think it's such a beautiful
leaders.
thing too, right? Like when we step into this place and we're lit up, right? It brings us joy and our heart feels so full. I think it's perfectly normal and natural to go, look at this beautiful thing that I found.
Exactly.
It's human nature. You want to share good with others,
Mhm.
It's human nature. Yeah. So I'm learning discernment.
Well, I think that is a wonderful thing to learn. I think I'm still learning too. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's also about us stepping into our own empowerment around that as well. About what we believe and stepping into hey, this is me. Like that's who we are. With our kids, it's a little different, of course. But when we first started this show, it was like, okay, we're coming out of the spiritual closet here. Here we are. Hi. And
That was a big step. I mean, I admire you both so much for doing this. That was huge. It was huge. And you've done it so beautifully. I was just saying before we began the program how marvelous you are technically and every way. And professionally, you set this up. I just think that you guys, I so admire. It's just what you've done is wonderful. Yeah.
Well, and it is that learning as you go. And for the technical side, like I give total props to Tanis. The behind the scenes of it and all. But it's a beautiful thing because even just that evolutionary process, and I know we've talked about it on the show before, but here we are, just two friends having spiritual conversations on our own. And then we went, hey, these are important conversations. Maybe it'd be nice to share them. So I could get on board with maybe recording it and then putting it out there. And then Tanis is like, so what if we start doing these live? What? Right? But then you do, and then you get more comfortable. And again, it's that ongoing kind of evolution of our journeys where we come to a place of, this feels aligned, and then that love just pours out, and you want to just share more and more.
Yeah. And then I think our self-discovery kicks in too, and we're like, as we find out more about ourselves, we come on and we want to share that, and so then we're like, oh, yeah, we're galactic ambassadors, and we've seen this and we've seen that, and that's that excitement for it, right? Wanting to share. And that's
done a beautiful job. And I also listened again to Michael's birthday party on Beyond Being Human, where you both shared about the connection that you all have had for years, probably lifetimes,
definitely
the soul connection. And it shows in the show in how you all just are so bonded together and so in sync. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had many, many, many lifetimes together. It's been quite a journey, Jen?
Mm-hmm. It really has been. It's been wild to see it kind of come through. We had started off years ago doing some journey work and realizing very, very quickly that we've had, oh, we're doing a journey for this life. Oh, we're both in that. Oh, we're doing a journey. Oh, we're both in that. I kept going until it was like, wow, we've actually journeyed together quite a lot in all different roles and in different types of relationships and things like that. But it's really incredible to think about that on a grander scale than just this lifetime. But we know our higher selves have gone through so many different experiences that, this is just one in a long, long line of experiences that we've had.
Yeah. On Earth and not. We've had other ones that are not on Earth. So it's lovely in this life that we are both getting our own memories of these other lifetimes. I'm not sure that we've done that in other lifetimes, so that seems unique to this one for me. And well, I guess we did in some of the earlier ones, but that was like there was only a few. This seems to be a strong thing for this lifetime, that we both remember our parts of them, and then as we chat about it, we're like, oh, I was so and so, or I did this, or or we just know. And I'll call Jen. I'm like, I just had a vision of this. And she's like, me too. So, yeah. So it's a great way for us to heal too, because there's lots of lifetimes, of course, that we need to do healing on, as we all do. And it's fun to delve into that. So,
yeah.
Well, you do.
Well, I mean, maybe not fun, but it's important work. Not always fun.
But that piece too of Patricia, your divine two-step is such a beautiful way for healing all of that as well, right? If we're connected to that divine mind and we have gratitude in our hearts, we can get through anything. We can work through anything that's coming at us, and we can recognize, as you said, that everything is here for me.
Yeah. And it changes our whole neural network too. It changes on a physiological level too. And and so I don't have the science words for it, but the whole nervous system, it just changes everything physiologically, emotionally, mentally, and of course spiritually. It just affects all of it. And so it's not the be all end all, it's just one tool that whoever resonates with it can use it anytime, and it's free. And the more they develop it, the more they'll see significant changes in their lives and how they feel and what their life becomes. I mean, it's very powerful.
Well, thank you to you as well, Patricia, for sharing this with the world, because we need tools. We're all unique individuals with all of our own unique needs, and the more tools that we have out there, the better.
And I encourage people to see the thing about this divine two-step. I mentioned it's a prove it to yourself system. And so when people have the experience and really realize the manifestations that are happening, the transformations in their lives, they will, like we said, you want to just share the good news, right? So they'll share it. They'll influence others. They will probably begin this divine two-step practice. And then they'll have their own stories to share. And so it becomes a ripples on the pond movement. And that's how it will really spread. And it's by sharing it on your podcast, you all making it possible. And by you adopting the practice and sharing your transformational stories and so on and so forth. And it just goes on and on. This is like a grassroots movement where there's no leaders in this. We all become influential leaders in it the more we do the practice. And so I had a friend who's a reporter. When I explained it to her, she labeled it democratizing transcendency. And I think that's a perfect label for it.
I love it. I love it.
That's cute.
Making it something that anybody can step into. It's not complicated. It's not, you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to, jump through 20 initiations and, you know, all of that. It's a beautiful, beautiful tool.
Yeah, so check that out. As I was pointing here, this is the website, divine2step.org, and all the rest of the information is in the write-up below or beside, depending on where you're watching it. Have you got something coming up that you'd like to share, Patricia? Do you have an event or another podcast or something that you'd like to share?
I'd like to, okay. First of all, I want to say about that website, it's just a web page right now.
Okay.
As this is a grassroots movement, there's no funding yet. So when we can have that website professionally developed, it will become an online global playground for Divine Two-Steppers to come, to have, you know, resources there, learn from each other through like monthly meetings or the such, on what they have found for themselves to be best practices to cultivate the Divine Two-Step. So this will happen, but it's just in the beginning right now. But we'd like you to register. If anyone wants to develop this practice and starts doing that, just register on that website, just so we know who you are, so that when we do have a professional website, we can contact you and let you know. But what started actually yesterday, Sunday, February 1st, is another of the John Randolph Price book studies. I call them conversational book sharings. And so this one is a 15-week. We did 3 of his books last year. And the man is just phenomenal. I only wish I had known him in person when he was alive. He passed away in 2014. To share these messages from Spirit with him, because he articulates everything so beautifully. And he and his wife are the ones that brought the World Healing Meditation to the world back in December 31st, 1986 was their first launch. It's occurred annually at a certain time on December 31st, New Year's Eve, and it's to bring a global mind link in the world of raising consciousness through this World Healing Meditation. You can get the words to the World Healing Meditation on his website, johnrandolphprice.com, and it's free. And there's also a book there. That was the last one we did last year, but we're going to repeat it again this year, called The Planetary Commission, and the ebook is there for free. So if you want a fantastic book to read, read The Planetary Commission by John Randolph Price. It's on his website, johnrandolphprice.com. But the book study that we're doing now is called Empowerment. Let's see. Oh, I think I left it in the other room. But anyway, Empowerment. And we just started last night. If anyone wants to join us, you're welcome to do that. Just you can message me on Facebook, Patricia Wagner. And I think there's a lot of Patricia Wagner, so I don't know if they'll have it, but or you can go on the Living in Heart Center Gratitude Facebook group and request to join that. It's the group, not the page, but that's a private group, and we have lots of information in there. You can go to Michael's beyondbeinghuman.com/Patricia-Wagner. It's got a whole profile page there too as well. Oh, and you can go to, this is it, Grace Unlimited. That's my company's name, graceunlimited.com. That's also just a page. It's not a website because, you know, but you can contact me there as well if you want to be part of that.
Wonderful.
I was just trying to find johnrandolphprice.com. Is that the one? And I've got it spelled John Randolph.
RDOLPH is the
PH. This is why.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Click on his World Healing Meditation and all the words to it. That is a visionary prayer. And what I have been encouraging people to do is to read that every day. Read it every day, because it is the most perfect description of heaven on earth. And I have had people a few, not many, but a few, who are more traditional, that it might bring up a little bit of resistance while they read it. All that's doing is just bringing up an awareness of an outdated belief system that they're carrying. So if they look at it that way, then they could just look at it as a gift, and work through it and see, where did that old belief come from? Do I need to like let it go so that I can read this? So it's a real clearing as well as a real higher visioning that we can do to help the planet uplift and cause this paradigm shift and create heaven on earth. He's put it all in words. It's right there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's so interesting because we talk often about, and I know we're at time and I've got home play here, but we talk about wanting to be in coherence and wanting to have resonance and all of that. But we have to recognize that dissonance has a beautiful purpose in our experience. And the moment that we experience that within ourselves, it means there's an opportunity for an opening.
Mm-hmm. Resistance can be good.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not futile, like the Borg say. It's good.
I quote the Borg often though, because resistance, we can fight it all we want, but change is going to happen.
And we can direct it towards the good. We can
Absolutely.
change towards good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So every week we do our home play. Instead of homework, we give them home play.
Mm-hmm. So we're still using Seeds from the Sacred Feminine for now. And I've pulled a card, and it was Speak Your Truth. Speak your truth. So here we go.
Beautiful.
Have you been deceiving yourself for others? Have you been withholding your truth by keeping silent? It is time to speak up. It is not your loved one's responsibility to read your mind. It is impossible to fully understand the depths of another. It is up to you to enlighten others about the deep sacred self. Your truth, spoken with compassion and humility, is the greatest gift you can give someone. Do you know what your truth is? If not, it is time to find out. Go into the deep womb of the sacred feminine and summon your deep knowing. Maybe your truth hides from you because it has been covered up with lies or longing to be liked. Practices saying little truths throughout the day and giving yourself a loving approval for your honesty. If you are afraid of being rejected, this could mean your emotional body needs nurturing. By honoring your feelings, you invite the vulnerable, sacred feminine part of yourself to strengthen and grow. Your mind strengthens by finding less and less need to lie and seek approval elsewhere. The truth you hold, grandchild, is of great importance to the world. So speak up.
Beautiful. We always find they're quite relevant to whatever we've been talking about.
We've been speaking our truth all hour, right?
We have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what a beautiful thing, the one part about if you don't know your truth, right? Because it's been, we talked about that conditioning. We've talked about how, the senses and how we think something is truth, and that doesn't actually make it so. And so it's such a beautiful thing to be able to go in, like they said, and as you were talking about, and connect with that divine mind and bring that gratitude in and find your truth. And then bring it forward. Yeah, it pretty much sums up our conversation today.
It does. Have you got anything else going on this week, Jen?
This is it. Yeah, I will probably put up a little short video. I started to do some recordings with some new cards, so I'll do some of those. But otherwise, yeah, this is it for the lives for this week.
Awesome. And we have Enlightenment Evening Live tonight. For those of you that are local, that is tonight if you're interested. Please let me know if you're coming. That would be helpful. And we also have our Infinite Integrations on Wednesday. at 5 p.m. with Jacqueline Richards. So please join us for that. And we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us today, Patricia. It's been such a pleasure.
It's been an honor for me to be here. Thank you, Tanis. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. And thank you to your audience as well for listening.
Yes. Thank you all for joining us in the audience, and we will see you all next week. Take care now.